T and Boosie clashed once again, and this time it escalated into a very violent physical altercation with King Harris at the center of it all. Newly leaked footage shows completely wild moments, and Boosie didn't hold back his words about King Harris. We're going to break down exactly what happened, what each of them said, and why the situation keeps escalating between two of the South's biggest stars. To understand what's happening between T and Boosie right now, you need to understand how their sons became the common thread in all of this. King Harris is the son of T and Tiny Harris. Boosie's son is Tootie R.A. These two young men grew up close. Their fathers, both Southern rap legends, both convicted felons. Both men who served time raised their sons in the same circles. King and Tootie would go on to become friends. They'd even make music together and collaborate on videos. T appeared to make light of his son King Harris's arrest. The Atlanta rapper, who previously showed unconditional love for his son despite the arrest, was seen cracking jokes about the legal wasp by making a material in a stand-up routine. In a video that circulated online, T joked about his conversation with Boosie Badass after King and Bowie's son Tootie got arrested in August at a comedy show. Tip got on stage and impersonated Bowie, telling him about the arrest. He imitated Boo's voice and delivery, telling the crowd how the phone call went down. He said Bowie told him their sons had been picked up. Fans loved it. They said the impersonation was spot on. But that situation, King and Tootie getting arrested together, was not a joke to T behind closed doors. Earlier that month, the Live Your Life rapper vowed in an Instagram video to love him through whatever it is that he's going through. In the clip, T said he believed his son was trying to convince himself of things, as we all do as young men, and even young women growing up. The MC went on to say that the 18-year-old was just trying to convince ourselves that we are certain things. And then T said something that people will never forget. His ass is going to prison. If he keeps this underscore up, his ass is going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm going to be able to do about it. The 41-year-old continued. That is a father speaking. That is a man who served time and knows what prison looks like trying to talk to his own child. But King Harris has been a lightning rod for attention, both good and bad. People online have opinions about King. Some say he's just being young. Others say he's trying to prove something. King was also accused of trying to be a gangster, with someone commenting that he wants to show everyone he's about that life. And this perception of King Harris is exactly what has made him a target. Not just for random internet commentators, but for real names in the industry. Charleston White was one of those names. White kicked off a feud by throwing shade at T.I.'s child, King Harris, as well as Boosie Badaz's son. Tootie R.A. Charleston went on Instagram and said Boosie's boy and T.I.'s boy don't know how to fight. He called them rapper babies. He said they had a soft upbringing. In another video, Charleston stated that he thinks neither King nor Tootie can spell, and he stated, "I challenge you all to a spelling bee. I bet neither one of you can spell Appalachian Mountains or Mississippi." King responded. He called Charleston a name and said he'd handle him physically. King took to Instagram to shoot back at Charleston for his insults and for including Tootie Raw in his dices. King also stated that Charleston is only tough in public when the police are around. That brought T into it. The younger Harris's retort caught the attention of his father, T, who blasted the Texas native for speaking ill of his son. "I'll spare no expense on your ass about mine. Give __ about no police. I'll do all my time." The rapper warned on Instagram Live. T was not playing around. He made it clear, come for King, and the father will respond. "I got family who are willing to risk their lives and freedom to die about me and mine. Don't __ play with my child ever," T continued. Charleston, for his part, did not back down, undeterred by T and King's remarks. White responded with his own Instagram Live, during which he attributed his comments to him being a comedian, while continuing to voice his willingness to get the authorities involved. He even challenged T to a UFC fight. The whole thing spiraled, but what it showed clearly is that T will go to any length when someone comes for his son, and that's the framework you need for everything that happened next. Now, here's where Bowie fits into all of this. The hip-hop industry is no stranger to feuds and rivalries. The ongoing beef between T.I. and Boosie has been intense and dramatic. The two rappers have been exchanging insults and threats on social media. The beef between these two men did not start overnight. There's a timeline. There were periods when these two were close. They had plans. Bowie confirmed that his joint album with T.I. was still in the works at one point during a Vlad TV interview. They were going to make music together. Their sons were making music together. The families were intertwined. But then things changed. Their beef started after Boosie claimed T snitched and therefore pulled their idea for a joint album. Then the Atlanta Trap star clapped back at those claims, calling them false and bringing up the receipts. The snitch label in hip-hop is one of the most damaging accusations you can throw at someone, and Boosie threw it directly at T. The beef between T and Boosie continued to escalate in May 2020, when Boosie called T a snitch on Instagram. The comment was about T.I.'s past legal troubles, which included a conviction for federal gun charges. T did not take kindly to the insult and said that he was not afraid of Bowie and would defend his family at all costs. But it wasn't just the snitching claims. Boosie also got into T.I.'s personal family business. Boosie was in utter disbelief and criticized T for taking his daughter to a gynecologist to check if her hymen was still intact. Bowie argued that T was being too controlling and invasive and that he should respect his daughter's privacy. When that story came out, Bowie went public with his opinion, and T was not happy about it. T was one of the people who took offense to Boo's comments, and in a video, T told Bowie to mind his business and stop worrying about other people's children. That phrase, "stop worrying about other people's children," is the core of this entire conflict. T believed that Bowie inserts himself into matters involving T.I.'s kids, and Bowie believes he has the right to speak on whatever he sees. The situation got worse. The tension between T and Boosie continued to escalate. In March 2022, T released a diss track called __Boosie, in which he called out Boosie for his disrespect towards him and his family. Boosie responded with his own diss track, T.I. Ain't Shot, in which he accused T of being fake and not living up to his own principles. Then Bowie doubled down again. The beef continued into May 2022. Bowie released another diss track called T.I. is a Snitch, where Bowie accused T of cooperating with the police in a previous legal case. T responded by posting a series of videos on social media, denying the allegations and calling Boosie a liar. T.I. has said that his remark about cooperating against his deceased cousin was a joke, going as far as to bring legal documents to a comedy show and inviting Boosie himself to review the paperwork. But here's the thing about this beef. It has pauses. It calms down and then it comes right back. Although T and Boosie's beef seem to have calmed down, T posted a message on social media saying he was moving on from the beef. He implied that he had no interest in continuing the feud. Soon after, Bowie posted a statement saying that he had no problem with T. Then they ran into each other. A photo of Tip and Bowie surfaced on social media, leading many to believe that they had put their differences behind them and were once again on good terms. T, who spoke with TMZ, says that there is no bad blood between the two. T.I. told the cameras there was no beef. Our sons still are very close to each other. There is no beef. It's a misunderstanding, but the peace never holds. Fast forward to March 2023, and the beef between T and Boosie reignited again. Boosie posted a series of tweets calling out T for not standing up for him during a recent legal issue. T responded on social media saying that he had no obligation to defend Boosie and was tired of his constant disrespect. So that's the cycle. Insults, threats, diss tracks, a brief moment of peace, and then right back to war. And throughout all of this, King Harris and 2D Raw remain friends in the middle of their father's conflict. These two kids are close. They make music together. They were even arrested together. And both their fathers have publicly scolded them together. In September 2024, a video surfaced online that changed the conversation around T Boosie and their sons. Boosie Badazz and T teamed up to discourage their son from flashing guns in their music video. A clip circulated of the Southern rappers confronting their sons, King Harris and 2D Raw, during a music video shoot, where the two were reportedly waving firearms while surrounded by an entourage. The video went viral. It showed T and Boosie standing together for once on the same side as fathers telling their sons to put the guns down. Treat mine like you treat yours, T says as he walks away from the group. Boosie then chimes in saying, "Why y'all got so much guns, bro? Why y'all always gotta have guns?" T added, "What is it about the guns, man?" while standing next to Boosie. King Harrison responds, "It's not illegal to have guns." But T didn't back down, adding that the manner and lifestyle King was allegedly portraying in the music video makes the gun possession look illegitimate. Both Boosie and T then began running down what kind of legal trouble King Harris and Tootie R.A. could get into for having the firearms on set, particularly if there are any drugs around. King denied there being drugs. "That is a felony." "Thank you," T.I. loudly declared. Then Tip asked Tootie and King why their music doesn't focus on something other than the gangster lifestyle, such as being in love. The internet had a lot to say about this video. In the Shade Room's comment section, the circulating clip received more than 8,000 written reactions. Many applauded the fathers for checking their sons over the music video props. But then Tiny Harris stepped in to add context. Tiny Harris also stepped into the chat to clarify the origin of the clip. "This is old. This is from a TV show that Tip and Boosie was filming with their sons. Wish you could see all the eps. They're funny, but still instilling father and son values. Y'all so quick to hate on King. It's crazy," Tiny wrote. That's a piece of context a lot of people missed. According to Tiny, the confrontation was part of a TV show that T and Boosie were filming together with their sons. It wasn't some random blow-up caught on camera. It was planned content, but the parenting behind it was real. Boosie and T.I.'s reactions come from a place of experience, as they both had separate legal troubles involving firearms. In 2009, T was sentenced to 1 year in prison for gun-related charges. The Taker's actor has a rap sheet that includes drug and weapons convictions. Like T, Bowie is also a convicted felon whose legal troubles include similar charges and time in jail. King Harris later responded to the viral video and set the record straight about who he really is. "I'm not that guy," he explained. "I'm for entertainment purposes only." He stated that people have never seen him post a gun and that he doesn't even own a gun. Now, that moment, T and Boosie working together to parent their sons, gave many people hope that the two rappers had found common ground, that they could at least coexist for the sake of King and Tootie. But Bowie talking about T.I.'s kids is what started this whole thing years ago. And people wondered how long the truth would last. It didn't last. The answer to that question came when Boo's name popped up again in connection with comments about King Harris. Boosie has a pattern of speaking on T.I.'s family. He's commented on T.I.'s daughter. He's commented on T.I.'s parenting. And now he's once again making remarks about King. This is what keeps reigniting the beef. Boosie talks. T responds. The cycle continues. And each time it happens, T.I.'s reaction is stronger than the last. When you understand that T.I. has gone to war with Charleston White over his son, released entire diss tracks targeting Boosie, and publicly declared that he'd risk everything for King, then you understand why the title of this video exists. T does not let comments about his son slide. Not from anyone. Not from strangers. Not from people he used to call friends. Now, while T and Boosie were going through their on and off cycle, another beef was brewing, one that would push King Harris into the spotlight harder than anything before. The beef between T.I. and 50 Cent first began way back in 2006, when both rappers were debatably at their peak. 50 was a star of Gun It, and T was the self-proclaimed king of the South. The tension began to appear in a competitive way and sneak disses. For years, the tension between these two sat below the surface. There were moments, but nothing explosive. That changed in early 2026. T and 50 Cent recently reignited their long, simmering feud. After T.I. claimed he lost all respect for 50 when he backed out a proposed Razoo's battle that would have highlighted their respective catalogs, T made the comments publicly, and 50 Cent being 50 Cent responded the way he always does by going after T.I.'s family. King Harris joined the T and 50 Cent feud on Sunday, February 22nd, after the mogul shared a forewarned Instagram post to T with a photo of Tip's wife, Tiny Harris, performing. 50 captioned the post telling T to keep his name out of his mouth. That's when King Harris stepped in. "Were you mama?" King commented under 50's post. Then King went to his Instagram stories and went all the way in. And enraged, King Harris delivered a fiery rant on his IG stories, attacking 50 in defense of his mother. He told 50 his mother was dead and to go dig her up, mocking 50's late mother. That is a line. And King Harris crossed it without hesitation. He took the beef from social media banner to deeply personal territory. King Harris took to Instagram in defense of his mother with several posts pointing out 50's prior beefs, the aftermath of his 2000 shooting, previous accusations of domestic violence, and more. 50 Cent responded, but not in the way you'd expect. 50 Cent has laughed off King Harris's remarks about Sabrina Jackson. LOL. 50 captioned the post with a photo of the popular cartoon frog meme. He also shared posts comparing King to Pepper the Frog and posted unflattering images of both King and Tiny. Meanwhile, T.I. was not sitting around waiting. As 50 Cent and T.I.'s feud continued, Tip released a hard-hitting track titled War. While he didn't address 50 by name, the bars were clearly aimed at him. The Atlanta rapper has dropped multiple diss tracks, including the right one. Meanwhile, Let Them Know is one of the early hits of 2026. The song, part of T.I.'s retirement album, Kill the King, is currently #1 at Urban Radio and on several charts. King Harris didn't stop at Instagram rants. He made music. He dropped his third disc song, called Drop Top, just hours after 50 released a track. The 21-year-old son of T.I. shared the audio on his Instagram, along with some venomous bars. He trolled 50 in the caption. But here's what matters about all of this in the context of the T-Boosie situation. T didn't want King involved at all. When asked if he was a fan of Sons King and Demony jumping into beef with diss tracks, Tip said he gained zero enjoyment out of it. "No, I don't enjoy it," T said. "I spent so much time trying to get this Lilon off the ledge. Now he has justifiable means to undo all the teaching that I've been teaching." However, he did admit he was proud of how both his sons defended their mother, Tamika Tiny Harris. That's the tension inside T. He doesn't want King in the streets. He doesn't want King gashing out. He doesn't want King talking reckless. But when someone comes for Tiny, T understands why his son responds the way he does. And that understanding, that complicated mix of wanting to protect your child, while also being proud that your child is willing to defend their mother, that's what makes the Boosie angle so frustrating for T. Because while T is trying to teach King restraint, trying to keep him from falling into the same traps that landed his father in prison, Boosie keeps saying things that make King a topic of conversation. Every comment Boosie makes about King or T.I.'s family puts King back in spotlight. It puts King in positions where he feels he has to respond. And every time King responds, T loses another battle. In the war to keep his son out of trouble, 50 Cent even threatened to make a documentary about T and Tiny, similar to his Diddy documentary. 50 posted on Instagram, "Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy do. I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're going to ask about your 20 sexual assault cases. You might want to talk to a crisis PR person." So T.I. is fighting on multiple fronts. He's dealing with 50 Cent, dealing with Boosie, and dealing with King getting pulled into all of it. So where does everything stand now? The T.I. and Boosie beef has been an ongoing saga in the rap industry. The two artists have exchanged insults and accusations over the past years. Whether this will lead to further diss tracks or a physical altercation remains to be seen. But one thing is sure, the beef between T and Boosie shows no signs of ending anytime soon. The pattern is clear. Boosie speaks on T.I.'s family. T reacts. They exchange diss tracks. They exchange words online. Then there's a pause. Someone says it's squashed. They run into each other and take a photo. People think it's over. And then Bowie says something else about King Harris. And it all starts again. And now with Boosie once again going at King and T, fresh off a war with 50 Cent where his entire family was under attack. Tip is not in a forgiving mood. He just spent weeks dropping diss tracks, watching his son get mocked online, watching his wife get posted in unflattering photos, and having 50 Cent threaten to make a documentary about his life. T is on edge, and Boosie choosing this moment to make more comments about King Harris is pouring fuel on a fire that was already raging. Let's also talk about the AI factor. Content has surfaced online purporting to be Boosie going off about King Harris and the 50 Cent beef. Multiple people on social media forums believe the audio is AI generated. Boosie talked like that, but this is AI, one commenter noted. Another said, once I heard presumably said correctly, I knew this was AI because I know for a fact Boosie can't pronounce that word. This is a new dimension to these celebrity beefs. AI-generated audio is being used to fabricate statements, and the lines between what someone actually said and what was manufactured are getting blurred. People are making content, uploading it to YouTube, and viewers think it's real. One commenter pointed out how AI becomes a new fake news where people reject truth automatically based on their interests. But whether the latest comments are real or fabricated, the underlying beef between T.I. and Boosie is documented. It is real. It goes back years. And King Harris is always at the center of it. T has shown repeatedly that he does not tolerate people speaking on King. He went to war with Charleston White over it. I'll spare no expense on your app about mine. T.I. warned on Instagram Live. He went to war with 50 Cent over comments about his family. He dropped diss track after diss track. His sons dropped diss tracks. His wife was dragged into it. And with Boosie, it's even more personal because Bowie was someone T considered close. Their sons are friends. They were going to make an album together. They filmed a TV show together. They stood side by side confronting their sons on that music video set. T and Bowie share a history. And it's that shared history that makes the betrayal as T.I. sees it that much worse. Boosie, for his part, has always been a man who speaks his mind. That's his brand. He says what he thinks regardless of consequences. He's been that way about T.I.'s daughter. He's been that way about the snitching allegations. He's been that way about everything. And he's not going to stop. So, what you have is two forces that are never going to bend. T will never accept someone speaking on his children. And Boosie will never stop speaking his mind. That's why this keeps happening. That's why it happened in 2020. That's why it happened in 2022. That's why it happened in 2023. And that's why it's happening again right now. The title of this video, T tries to kill Boosie after he just mocked his son again, reflects the energy T.I. brings every time someone goes at King. He has, in his own words, told people he has family willing to risk everything for him and his children. He has warned people not to play with his kids. He has released diss tracks. He has gone on Instagram Live and made direct threats. T.I.'s reactions when people target King Harris are extreme. They're public and they're consistent. Now, whether things between T and Bowie will ever truly be resolved is a question nobody can answer right now. T has previously said that his issues with Boosie would be handled in private, the way it should have been in the first place. But so far, nothing has stayed private. Everything between these two ends up on Instagram, on Twitter, on diss tracks, and on YouTube. The sons, King Harris and Tootie Ross, are still close. Our sons still are very close to each other. T.I. told TMZ during one of the supposed truces, but the fathers cannot seem to find lasting peace. And here's the final thing to consider. T is working on what he has called his retirement album. The album is called Kill the King. It may be released later in 2026. He's in promo mode. He has let him know charting. He has momentum. The last thing he needs is another cycle of beef pulling him and his family back into chaos. But if Boosie keeps talking, T.I. is not going to stay quiet. He never has. And based on everything we've seen, from the diss tracks to the Instagram rants to the public threats, he never will. That's the story. That's the full picture. T and Boosie, two Southern legends tied together by their sons, their history, and a beef that keeps coming back no matter how many times. People say it's over. And King Harris, the young man at the center of all of it, is still finding his own path, while his father fights to protect him from the same world that nearly destroyed them both. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think T and Boosie will ever actually squash this for good? Or is this beef going to keep going until something happens that nobody can take back? Let us know. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that button now so you don't miss the next update.